Shalom Aleichem.
Aleichem Shalom.
Nesanel Gantz. Your name?
Sam Halberstam.
Sim. The Hebrew name is?
Sinai Halberstam.
Your first name?
Shlomi Halberstam.
Shlomi. Related?
It's my son.
Father and son. Beautiful. So tell me, what did you do for a living?
Okay, we created a surveying company. Actually, our company is a real estate servicing company. We service the real estate industry. That's
Explain.
our name. AAA Group, Real
Nice.
Estate Servicing Corp.
Explain that. Explain for those who don't know. What is that you do?
Okay, so anything that has to do with real estate, that it's professional, we try to handle it. In other words, after a guy goes through a purchase, he buys a property, he wants to know what he bought. He has a paper, a deed that he signs, but he doesn't know what it is. So that's where we come into the picture.
Well, the survey is usually before they actually complete the contract, right?
No, usually it's after the contract to make sure that
Before the closing. Before the closing. I mean, yeah,
before the closing. So they order a survey, we come down to the property, and we measure the property. We make sure that there is actually a property.
You give recommendations.
It's like when there's a shidduch, you gotta believe that there's a boy and a girl.
Did you actually have that story once, that there was actually no property? Did that ever happen? No, not yet.
No, but we had it. There was no building on it.
That's great.
Yeah, the guy was buying a three-story family building, and there was a vacant land.
Wow.
We had that all the time.
I got to meet that guy. That guy has some money.
Yeah.
Hold on. So you started the company yourself. Obviously, you know that your son who came in. How many people work in your company?
We have about 20 employees.
Wow. So it's a real solid business. And you focus
Yes.
specifically on surveys?
Surveys, and we do a little bit more services in the environmental and soil boring testing. Also, that has to do with the real estate services.
Explain what you said. What testing?
Soil boring.
Explain that.
We test the soil. If it's there's a few tests that we do. It's either construction, if it could hold a new building, or if it's contaminated, if it's environmental issues on it.
Right. So first of all, when did you bring your son to the business?
Actually, we're doing this for 25 years already.
You don't look 25. How old are you?
I am more than 25, but
You're not in the business for 25
No.
years. Okay,
2
Baruch
years.
Hashem.
Okay, we did it was probably before he got born.
Okay.
We started the business, but later on we started a new addition to the services that we do, because we saw that there's a very big need for it, and therefore he came into the picture that he should handle
To do
that.
what service?
That's
we do
As-built.
Talk about it.
So we do laser scanning for as-builts. We do.
Explain that. What does that mean?
So if somebody wants to renovate his property, he goes for plans. Yeah. So the architect would ask him, "Do you have existing condition plans? You know, what do you have?" So it's also in the measuring field, like my father, but I do interior, you know, the rooms and everything. So we do it in 2D, and then we can also do it in 3D.
For the designer, for who? Who do you do
Yeah.
for?
So once you have the plan, the designer takes it over, and so he knows where the
So
walls
you basically
are.
create the rendering of the
Yeah, I
interior.
can, you know, so laser scanning is a fairly new technology, and it scans everything. So basically, I have a 3D model. It's basically as you hit on a document, save as.
Right.
So whatever, you scan it, and then you have everything.
I love it. So I have to ask you the obvious question before you continue the business, right? There's an old.
Yes, we also do some other things
Like what?
Pre-construction survey. So we go down, take pictures from the adjacent properties to make sure if there is cracks, we
Nice.
document it, and you know, with an engineer, everything. And also we do construction documentation. That's fairly new thing.
It's complementary businesses. At the end of the day, it's services that as well. But I must ask you a question, Reb Sinai. The old Yiddish expression that Mishpucha es mekigel, right? So I don't know if it's your first son in the business. You have other children in the business?
This is my youngest son, actually.
Your youngest. You have other sons in the business?
I'm in the business now.
Okay.
He's the only son
So
in
it
the
begs the
business.
obvious question. How are you working with your kid? How's it like working with your kid? Don't answer this. How's it like working with your son? And what do you do if you want to scream at him, but then the second after, in business, you're upset, but then you go home, you're still his father? How do you work with that?
It's a good question.
I know, that's why I asked it.
It's a good question. You know why it's a good question?
Well, I can still haven't figured it out.
No. But that's the reason why I got into this business altogether.
Let me explain.
The reason why I got into this business is because I felt that there's a need for it, and people need that service. I went around shopping when I started this business 25 years ago. What is a good business that people could need, and I'm not afraid of competition, but at least it could help other people. So I came across people were telling me that they're struggling in this issue. They're buying property, they're buying real estate, but they're having problems all along. Right. They're building it. They got to be. They need service all along.
Buy things they didn't know.
They're buying, they're building, they're developing, you know. And most of my companies, when I started out in the community, yeah, with the Heimische customers. When I started out the first 10, 15 years, I would have probably 75% of my customer base was the Yiddish business, because everybody knew me and everybody was willing to give me a chance, and the services was great, and people recommended the word of mouth, so I was able to get the business. I hardly had even to advertise. So since my nature is to do the right thing for people, I have no problem taking in a son.
Why? Explain.
Why? Because I never scream at nobody. I don't think I ever screamed at him.
Really?
100% true.
Hold on. Forget about the whole business. Let's talk about chinuch for a second. No, okay. That's an amazing thing. That now talks to who you are as a person.
I'll tell you even more things in my as a history of the business. A guy came in about 2 weeks ago, a Toyan from a Bezen. The Bezen Stiebel sent him down that there is a Detoire, 2 neighbors. They want a survey. Why is the survey? Because the guy encroached. The guy built a porch into the neighbor's property. So I said, "Do you have evidence of the porch?" I said, "Well, I have my neighbor's survey." The neighbor took a survey, and it shows right away the porch that is encroaching on the neighbor's property. And now, the guy that called the neighbor to the Detoire wants a survey on his own. I told him a survey would cost you $500, $600, $700, whatever it is going to cost you. You have a survey of your neighbor. You have a survey of your neighbor that tells you exactly the encroachment. Why they need to spend extra money? They said they never had a company like that.
Very good.
And they walked out. We're still going to come back. I'm waiting for that. But
I can say that numerous times I go to my father's office and I hear him talk on the phone. You don't need a survey, man. I can make you a survey, but you don't need it. Mm-hmm. Numerous times I've heard it.
I talk about a general concept of what's a survey in basic description. It's right the property zone, how where it goes, the property landmarks. There are many companies that exist that they simply don't have their own survey, right? Do you find it advantageous to tell people, hey, if you don't have a survey, you need to have one done, or you're a property owner? I'll give you an example myself. I live in Far Rockaway, yeah, with a decent property, and I have a survey that not really. I need a new survey, yeah, and I want to build a fence. The neighbor is I could build a fence, right? I need to know the situation. I don't know the situation, you know.
I'll tell you.
Do we get the interview discount afterwards? Yeah, we hook it up. I hope I get an interview discount afterwards.
Of course.
There we go. It's on camera, so remember that.
So let me tell you. You're talking about a fence.
Yeah.
You know, there's a law of adverse possession. People don't know about that law.
Explain.
Yeah, people can take away your property. There's a law by den Teure, we know Karka ein Exelis.
Correct.
But by law, if you're using the other guy's property,
for like a certain amount of years, it's yours.
It used to be 10 years. A couple of years ago, they changed it to 12 years.
Wow.
So they could just claim it as their own. They get the deed, and legally they get the title on it.
So let's ask a question for yourself. A guy is existing business. What does he need your service for? Only if a guy is buying a new property. Am I right or wrong? When does someone need your services? The survey specifically. Obviously, other things are helpful.
There's many times when he needs it for. The first instant is because for his own use to do a fence to know where his boundary line is. Usually, especially in Far Rockaway, as you mentioned, there's a lot of easements. Correct. With the driveway easements, and people have fights all along, and they want to know. And there's an interesting story since we're interviewing now. I would like to tell you, and people have to know about it. People are encroaching. People are taking away property from other people, but there's unfortunate nothing what you could do about it. The judges would laugh at you, and by the entire you're not going to get nothing out of it. So my message for the society, for the community is, if a guy is encroaching up to a foot, you shouldn't even bother. You should settle it on your own within. Because as many cases I had in the past 25 years, when I started out the business, in the first year, I had an encroachment of a foot of a guy, two neighbors were fighting. And I tried to settle it, but I couldn't settle it, and the guy was obnoxious. He wanted only to go to court. Each side spent $50,000 in legal fees, and they wasted a year in court. And the end was, the judge ruled that if it's a business, you can't destroy the other guy's business. He used it already. After it was a one-story building. After the one story, the guy could come in to that foot and then continue building. But that 1 foot stayed for the guy that used it.
This is your first year at OGBA? Your first year here?
No, I'm here from the first day.
Wow, tell me, has this place brought you business? You've gotten business from here?
The place over here is the best. I'll tell you why.
Please.
Because you hardly see people. You're always on the phone, you're always with emails, and you can't even see who your customers are and who's really the guy that gives you the prenosa.
I would say today in the world of social media, we're not connected bichlal, right? Social network, we're not networking at all.
That's right. So I'm coming here and I see the other side of the table. It's amazing. And I'm coming here year after year, and it's always doing good.
You guys have really, I sit for you for an hour. We'll take chinuch advice, business advice. It's a fantastic conversation.
We need to make another meeting.
100%. It's a pleasure meeting you.
But one thing I want to add.
Go ahead, please.
One thing I want to add.
Please.
Yeshia, that took over, he was Moshe Rabbeinu's successor. He was the first guy that created an idea how to implement property lines. No, it's in the Gemara.
Yeah,
it's a Bubba Bassett of Nian High. That he created a yerik that it doesn't go.
The grass doesn't move.
It doesn't move right or left.
Right.
And this is the way how he planted it in to each boundary lines. So like this, he was there.
So the
first
advice
one to
is
create
plant
it.
trees. Okay, I got it. Okay. Thanks so much.
We'll plant it for you.
All right.